Welcome to Journey Through the Gospels. Here we explore the stories of the Gospel through history, faith, and cinematic storytelling. A question rises from the crowd, but Jesus does not answer it with a debate. He answers it with a road, a wounded man, and an act of mercy no one expected. The story is simple enough for a child to follow, yet deep enough to search the human heart. Even now, it still asks us who we are when suffering appears before us. Jesus is teaching when a lawyer stands up to test him. The question sounds serious and respectful. "Teacher, what shall I do to inherit eternal life?" In the world of the Gospels, such questions were not small matters. They touched the law, righteousness, and the hope of life before God. Jesus answers the man with a question of his own. "What is written in the law? How do you read it?" The lawyer knows the answer. He says that a person must love the Lord with all the heart, all the soul, all the strength, and all the mind, and love the neighbor as oneself. Jesus tells him he has answered rightly. "Do this, and you will live." But the conversation does not end there. Luke tells us the man wanted to justify himself. So he asks another question, one that seems simple at first. "And who is my neighbor?" It is the kind of question many people ask when seeking a boundary. They want to know where love is required, and perhaps where it is not. Jesus does not give him a short definition. He tells a story. In a few words, he opens a road through the Judean hills and places a single traveler on it. The man is going down from Jerusalem to Jericho. That descent was known for rough ground, exposed stretches, and lonely places. Jesus chooses a setting that his listeners could easily picture. Then the violence comes quickly. The traveler falls among robbers. They strip him, beat him, and leave him half dead. The story does not pause to give his name, his background, or his status. All of that falls away. What remains is a human being in desperate need, lying wounded on the road. After that, Jesus slows the moment down. A priest comes by. He sees the man, and yet he passes on the other side. The detail matters. He is not unaware. He is not rushing past without noticing. He sees the suffering and chooses distance. Then a Levite comes to the same place. He also sees the wounded man. He too passes by. Now the silence grows heavier. Two men associated with religious life have looked directly at pain and kept moving. Jesus lets that failure settle over the story before he introduces the next traveler. Then comes the turning point. A Samaritan is traveling that road. For many in Jesus' audience, this would have already sounded uncomfortable. Samaritans and Jews lived with old tension, distrust, and wounded history. But Jesus says that when this Samaritan sees the injured man, he is moved with compassion. What happens next is not a vague feeling. It is mercy with hands, time, effort, and cost. The Samaritan goes to the man. He binds his wounds. He pours on oil and wine, simple and practical care from what he has with him. Then he lifts the wounded stranger onto his own animal and begins the slow journey to shelter. The road to mercy is not dramatic in the way people often imagine. It is physical. It is inconvenient. It interrupts plans. The Samaritan must walk while the wounded man rides. He must bear the delay, the burden, and the risk. Compassion is no longer an idea. It has become an action. At last, they reach an inn. The Samaritan does not simply drop the man at the door and disappear. Jesus says he takes care of him. Then on the next day, he gives money to the innkeeper and promises that if more is spent, he will repay it when he returns. The mercy in this parable does not end with rescue. It continues into responsibility. At this point, Jesus brings the listener back out of the story and into the question that started it all. He asked the lawyer, "Which of these three do you think proved to be a neighbor to the man who fell among the robbers?" It is a striking question. Jesus does not ask which person counted as a neighbor ahead of time. He asks who became a neighbor through mercy. The lawyer answers carefully but clearly. The one who showed him mercy. He cannot escape the truth of it. The answer is no longer hidden behind legal wording or narrow categories, and Jesus gives him a final command that is as direct now as it was then. Go and do likewise. This is what gives the parable its lasting force. It does not let us love in theory while refusing mercy in practice. It does not allow us to admire kindness from a safe distance. Jesus takes the command to love one's neighbor and brings it down to the road, to the bruised body, to the interrupted journey, to the open hand. The story also breaks through human boundaries. The wounded man is not helped by the people one might expect. He is helped by the one many would have looked down on. In that way, Jesus exposes the poverty of pride and the emptiness of religion without compassion. He shows that mercy may appear from the place we least expect, while those with status may fail the test entirely. For those hearing this story for the first time, the challenge would have been sharp. For those hearing it now, it is no less searching. A neighbor is not merely the person near us in place, language, tribe, or comfort. In Jesus' teaching, neighbor love is revealed in the act of seeing, stopping, tending, lifting, and caring. The question is not only whom we are willing to recognize. The deeper question is whether we ourselves will become merciful. And so the parable remains close to real life. The road may look different now, but wounded people still lie in the path of ordinary days. Some are ignored because they are inconvenient. Some are avoided because they are strangers. Some are passed by because mercy costs too much. Yet the voice of Jesus still meets us there, asking us not just what we know, but what we will do. The Good Samaritan is not a story about grand speeches. It is a story about costly compassion. It calls us to a love that crosses barriers, touches pain, and stays long enough to help. It reminds us that true obedience to God is never cold. It bends down, it binds wounds, it pays the price of care. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, please subscribe for more gospel stories.